thought you had Brad Pitt because it's the pit stop.
Oh my god, oh my god. Hello, welcome to HAZMAT, the only show stopping in the pit stop for some new cameras, some new microphones, and a new MacBook.
Bloody need one because it keeps on saying it's full. It's not full. It's not full at all. Just keep saying it. Keep saying a bit. No storage left. No bloody storage.
Storage keeps telling me it's full. I've got nothing on there.
I've got nothing left to give.
I put it all on an external hard drive. What is taking up the space?
It's all those dogs with eyebrow pictures you keep downloading.
Yeah, that's probably it. I'm not deleting them, alright?
I can't.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Harry.
And this is the monthly thing, the part of the show where we talk about every new film or series we watched in the last month, whether we recommend them, what we thought about them, and how we felt watching them.
I feel like I don't want to spend money on this anymore.
As always, we may get into some spoilery territory, so we will recommend up front, and then you can stick around if you want to hear about what we want to say about these things. Everything here is consensual. We all want to be here. No one's been forced into watching this.
Mostly, apart from all the Disney money they threw at us to say the Disney movies are good.
Right, there is that. I'm Matt.
We're just looping. We're just looping.
Hello, welcome to... Thank you for watching. Hello, I'm Matt, and I'm Harry, and this is
gone through all his fucking catchphrases.
Thank you for watching. First up, F1. The movie. Based on the TV show, of course.
Based on the long-running TV series.
Right, it's been on for a long time. I haven't really seen much of the TV show, I'll be honest.
No, I said I'm not going to sit down and watch any of that.
It's been going on for decades, so we couldn't catch up really in time for the film.
No,
we just went into the film.
Too much F1 content
yeah.
to try and get into it now.
Well, I mean, hey, it was exciting.
Exciting. I'd say a recommend.
A recommend. Yeah, a solid recommend, I think.
Can't speak for you.
Well, I've just said it.
No, you were parroting what I was saying.
Solid recommend from him.
Yeah, and then from you?
From me, hated it.
Hated what?
All of it.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I did sleep through most of it.
And cried.
Yeah, this is a recommend from me, solidly. I really like this. Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, and a slew of other actors here in kind of a quite paint-by-the-numbers sports film, but, like, entertaining.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of amalgamation of the fact that it's like a scrappy underdog sports movie like every other sports movie ever. But usually with the underdog sports movie, it's like a small team. It's like a struggling little league team. But even like the lower end of the spectrum in F1, they're still like $1 million corporations, like millions pumped into them.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're like one of the 10 teams that are in like the biggest championship in the world. Like they're still there, even if they're last. Yeah, it had all the cliches, the underdog thing, the kind of the old timer. The arrogant newcomer.
It's very common in the sports movies. Is you have the old veteran coming in for one last ride and being paired up with the plucky newcomer who's like doesn't want their place stolen. And
the classic like there's a life-altering injury that stopped him from really achieving the goals in the first place. It had all of that stuff, but I still really just enjoyed the ride because this stuff. It's not always like the question isn't if they're going to win. They obviously are. It's kind of how they get there, I guess. It's the journey. Yeah. It's the drive, if you will, not the finish line. It's about the race, not the finish line.
That's a different movie, Drive.
There's a metaphor in here somewhere. Hang on, let me find it. It's about the race, the hare, and the tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt is the hare. Lewis Hamilton is a tortoise.
Lewis Hamilton is not the tortoise.
Javier Bardem.
He's the fastest man on the planet.
But yeah, just the journey of the film. It hits kind of all the classic beats of a sports film. But I guess it's interesting because it's not a sport that's been done on film, I guess. Like fiction-wise, too much.
No, they've done like racing movies, but generally when they do that, it's sort of more slot car racing, I guess. Because they did Talladega Nights, which was the comedy one with Will Ferrell. That was more like slot car racing, like NASCAR type. I don't know what kind of that was. I'm sure he was a race car. Sure he did races.
Demolition Derby, I think. Herbie Demolition Herbie.
I don't think that was it, but it would be good if they did that. It would
Can you
be
imagine if Herbie
nice. Be
fucking
a nice
died?
change.
I watched Herbie and Herbie
They
fucking
kill.
died.
If Herbie dies in Herbie,
They
what the
killed
fuck?
Herbie.
They
Oh
killed
my
Herbie.
god.
Yeah, like the F1 in specific, I think
Yeah.
that hasn't really been tackled on film. Yeah, it's one of those things where like a lot of sports, you can kind of very easily pick out the big moments of, you know, there's a mistake that was made, or there's something that changed the game. Whereas I feel like with F1, it's often down to very fine margins.
Yeah.
Very, very small thing. Like, obviously there's a lot of like action type stuff, a lot of like crashing and spinning out, but the actual cause of a lot of these incidents is very, very small things. And to try and capture that on cinema was kind of, I guess, the challenge of how they were going to present that.
Yeah, I think they did well to make that interesting and captivating. We said coming out of it, like, F1 as a sport is famously quite boring, and like apart from the small things that happen every for like a couple of seconds, and there's like these split-second things, and unless you kind of know the ins and outs and the technical stuff, it is just kind of cars overtaking each other sometimes. But yeah, they did really well to make you really invested in. There's a lot of different races they go in this film. They did well to kind of make each one interesting. Even the kind of ones in the middle, the kind of random ones. It made every race feel like a big, important moment.
Yeah, a lot of like showing how Brad Pitt's character sort of approaches these races and has like an alternative mindset of, you know, taking the rules and sort of skirting by and operating within this grey area of, is it actually cheating? Is it actually breaking the rules? Or are you like thinking about what the actual rules are and using stuff to your advantage? And
yeah, I feel like that's another kind of sports movie cliche, is the unorthodox way of winning, or the twists, or the like, he knows what he's doing, like, trust him. And you know, the fucking commentators and referees like, what the hell is going on? It was cool to be able to do that within the world of F1, which on the surface is sort of people driving around the track, but there is so much more to it. I think it made the sport so interesting and captivating. Even the stuff like the pit stops were put in really well. The fact they have to kind of make the decision when to do it, and every decision has to be a split-second thing in these races, because you're just going like so bloody fast. It's crazy how fast they go. Let's talk about that for a minute.
It's crazy how fast they go, and the fact that it's still not interesting to watch 50 fucking laps of it.
Right.
The one thing
when you actually watched it on telly.
Yeah, this is the one thing that makes it interesting, because it cuts out the majority of the actual race. It just shows you the highlights.
Just the cool crashes and stuff. I feel like even on telly, you can at least see the whole race. When you're there, you just see every like few minutes just.
Right. What?
Right, I'm gonna pop to the loo. Let me know when they come back around.
Got like another minute or so. Oh, here they come. Oh.
Right. Do you want an ice cream, or I'm gonna?
Yeah, because they've still got another fucking 55 laps to go. So.
Yeah. Oh my god! Someone's crashed and died.
Well, let's go home, shall we?
I don't really want to eat my ice cream anymore.
I'm not hungry.
Actually.
I think everyone does a pretty serviceable job. Everyone's pretty good in this.
There was some moments. I thought Brad Pitt was really good at the kind of swaggadocious, nonchalantly egotistical guy coming in and swanning in. For anyone who's seen it, you'll get that.
Get that. Go on.
But I thought that there were certain moments where he sort of gets aerated. There's like arguments with Damson Idris's character, where I just like Brad Pitt, I think, finds it hard to pull off a convincing, like, angry or intimidating or something. I think you made the point that he's just generally too charming.
Yeah, he's
as a guy and as an actor.
He's too he presents himself like as too likable. Like he's like the dashing rogue that like you really don't want to hate, and so like in the scenes where he does get angry and like they're trying to present him in a way where he is like in the wrong a lot of the time, but
he's
just hard to get behind the idea that he could be wrong.
Yeah,
he's like, this man can do no wrong.
He can do no wrong. I think he didn't quite sell those bits, but he made up for it by really selling the kind of he secretly knows what he's doing. He's got unorthodox methods, but trust him, and the kind of like, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. I'll sort it. Like he really managed to nail that aspect of the character. Yeah, there was just a couple of intense scenes that I think he didn't quite live up to, that kind of needed a bit more vitriol or fire to them. And I think sort of up against Damson Idris, I think he was brilliant in this, and he really sold that cocky sort of newcomer character, the sort of arrogance, wants to be top of his game and isn't quite getting there, but has the kind of confidence for it. I think he managed to sell that character really well. So yeah, there's certain scenes where they're kind of butting heads that didn't quite work, I think, for me.
I guess it's because like you get accustomed to sort of one of them being so nonchalant in his approach and the other one being so intense.
Yeah.
That when they then have to swap roles, it's a little like takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think the dynamic between them, although it had nice development, there were certain points where it seemed to develop without, like it was if a scene had been deleted somewhere or something. Like he just sort of suddenly liked him at the end, I felt. I know they had kind of the moments, there was like the poker game, which I think shifted the dynamic a bit. I guess they sort of realised things about each other in separate scenes, but they never really have that kind of the moment of like, you're all right, kid. Like it all just kind of happens, I guess. But I suppose, they told that story through their actions in the races and how that develops their dynamic and relationship. I think they both sold their separate characters very well here. But yeah, there was times where the dynamic shifted a bit and you're kind of like, I don't know what's happening anymore here. Like, how do they feel about each other right now? Like, when did that happen?
Still pretty uninformed as to how F1 actually works, the scoring system, the rules.
They mentioned a point at some point. I was like, is there points in this?
There's points.
What do you mean? Is it not just who finishes first?
Well, that's cause, like, I guess when it comes to the end and they, spoiler alert, they finally like win their Grand Prix at the end. Table wise, it'd still probably be pretty low,
right? Yeah,
on the overall table.
Yeah, because they didn't really
season.
lose. Yeah. They didn't really win any of the others. They were just slowly working their way up.
Yeah, it's like football seasons in which you gain points across like the whole board, but like just because you win one race, you don't win the whole thing.
But hey, a win is a win.
That's not what it was about.
It was a nice, it was a nice, inspiring story. There was a few, maybe too melodramatic or cheesy moments. Especially towards the end. There was kind of a forced romance plot with Brad Pitt and Kerry Condon's character, the technician. I don't know if that was needed, personally. I think it should have been a nice mutual respect, because they kind of did it, but it happened in like maybe 3 or 4 scenes, and it didn't really matter. In the end,
It is very much more noticeable towards the end. Brad Pitt gets kicked off the team. And then sort of when it comes to the final day, the final race day, and they see him walking back sort of towards it, and like the triumphant fanfare starts playing in the score because he's back to do the final race, and it's like, okay, we're really leaning into the cliche at this point.
The hero, okay. Yeah, I think it did just sort of shamelessly lean into a lot of it, which on a certain level I think is respectable. A lot of films, we've sort of talked about before, a lot of films try and be a bit tongue-in-cheek these days, a bit meta, bit of a wink-wink with it. I don't think this film did it. I think it played it pretty straight the whole way through, which is kind of respectable in this day and age. So, yeah, I think overall, very enjoyable, exhilarating, action-packed, a really fun experience.
Yeah, next up, let's do, I don't know, Rounders.
Yeah, pretty good. So race to the cinema and see it.
Oh my god. They hired Brad Pitt because it's the pit stop.
Oh my god, oh my god. Next up, How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake.
2025
2025. Make sure it's 2025 and not the 2010 one.
Make sure when you go to Google, you're searching 2025 after, just to make sure you got that. I mean, it's probably going to be the top search anyway, because people are going to be recently searching for it.
Yeah, the poster's a bit more orange. I don't know if we're going to differ a little bit on this one, but this is pretty solidly not a recommend for me.
No. Definitely not.
Either?
No.
Okay, good. You love How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
The original series.
The original was great.
We, of course, did our video on it. First one is a classic. Other two are pretty damn good. So I just think this simply wasn't necessary.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if this was a movie that just came out without any priority, like, it'd probably be okay. It's more the fact that coming out of seeing it, every single aspect that you could praise about this movie is something that you can't praise about this movie because it's just what was copied over from the first one.
Right. It's like Storyline, great.
The story, like the
Toothless design,
characters, pretty
great.
good. Toothless design, the music,
yeah,
like the score's excellent.
yeah.
But it's just redos of what was already there.
Yeah, so anything they've kind of had to change or add to make it live action is like the worst parts about it, which is I think there were some miscastings here. I don't think the twins worked very well. To be honest, most of the kids, I thought Astrid, is it Thandi Newton?
No, it's Nico Parker. I think is Astrid.
Who the hell is Thandi Newton?
Was it the parent? Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Might have been, yeah. I remember you bringing it up at one point. I think she's like, I think.
Oh, she's her daughter or something.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the daughter of Thandi Newton.
Yeah.
There's be like.
Yeah,
Thandi Newton's in this.
Newton's the grown-up one,
playing a 12-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, Nico Parker.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, yeah. Thandi Newton's daughter, Nico Parker. I'm going to cut out the rest of it and be unexplainedly laughing when I'm saying this.
I'm laughing at something else. I just thought of
sorry,
like.
I thought
I'm thinking about the dogs with the eyebrows again.
Yeah, they're so good. You guys should see it. I'll send you them. Don't worry, I'll send you them. I felt that Nico Parker as Astrid, was one of the only ones really trying here. I thought, is it Mason Thames?
Mason Thames
played Hiccup.
Yeah.
Did a serviceable job, but brought a quite different vibe to it. I felt. I don't think he really sold the clumsy nerd guy to me,
which is strange because that's kind of what he's been typecast as. That every movie he's in, he's sort of more the nerd, like outcast character, which he should be good for this. I didn't feel there was really any like transformation either in this one, because the whole point of the original is he kind of goes from like the outcast, like disaster, to being a hero by the end of it. But I don't really see Mason Thames' version as a hero by the time this movie like comes to its conclusion.
Yeah, I think there won't be as much of a clear difference. I just think he didn't sell the same idea, and so the same development can't happen because he didn't do well enough to begin with. Yeah, they're going to struggle if they're doing the sequels. I don't know if they've been announced or if they're planning it or whatever. I think this has genuinely been well received from what I've seen. Actually, I was quite surprised how many people did like this. But I think it's just because everyone loves the original so much.
It's a weird thing in that you go online and look at how people talk about movies, and the discourse is always, we don't want like remakes and we want originality. And then they'll praise this movie even though there's absolutely no originality to it. It's like a like-for-like carbon copy of the original. And they're like, oh, we just want them to be true to the source material. It's like, you just want the same movie again, but worse. But
then it's quite funny because when live-action films change things, people complain, but then this one pretty much did exactly the same thing and it's still bad. It still doesn't work. So it's like, what's the answer? The answer is to probably not do them at all.
It's just not to do them, because the whole thing is you can explore so many different ideas in animation because you're less limited by what is achievable in like the real world.
Yeah.
And so it's pointless to do it in live action. You're doing the same thing but with less options.
Yeah, exactly. There's certain set pieces, action scenes, even like and I will come on to praise a couple of them, but certain slapstick comedy moments and stuff that are just, they work in animation and they don't work in real life, and it's because like they're designed to be animated. And so to try and adapt these things to live action, they just come across as a bit clumsy or a bit too weighty or a bit too weightless or something. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff just simply does not translate. And I think, especially in this one, because it is so true to the original, it's almost beat for beat. Although it's longer somehow. I don't know how
they did that. It's just everyone's line delivery is more stilted.
It's a bit slower. I don't know if there was any actual story padding, but I think it is just a case of pacing is a bit slower or something.
Well,
I've lost my train of thought.
It was the fucking Peter Serafinowicz stuff that was never in the original.
Oh, true, yeah. Like
that's just added in an extra.
Yeah, by the way, completely underutilizing Peter Serafinowicz. So why was that Peter Serafinowicz? I mean, I'm glad he's working.
Because, obviously because it was David Tennant in the original, also completely underutilized. They had to stay true by bringing in a big name in like the British comedy scene or like British acting comedy, and just to have them do nothing.
It's just crazy because he's a very like competent, talented comedic actor and can bring a lot to. He's very much a character actor, Peter Serafinowicz, and has a certain intensity to him. So just have him in like 5 scenes where he just looks a bit grumpy.
And never says anything.
It never, I don't think he maybe has one line.
I think
where
he has
he's
one
like,
line towards the
"That's my
end.
son," or
He's
something.
like, yeah, he's like, that's my boy.
Really, really random. Gerard Butler, despite playing the same role, I think played it worse. It made me not like Stoic as much in this one, I think.
Maybe I was thinking maybe he was just too focused on making sure that he was differentiating enough from his original one that maybe like some of it was just kind of lost. But there's definitely certain lines that they tweaked that I thought made him worse off. The most notable one is sort of when they get into the climax right after, he frees Toothless like under the water, and Hiccup's like, all right, we're back together, we're gonna go like finish this or whatever. In the original, like he says like, you don't have to go up there, and then in this one he's like, whatever happens up there, I'm proud of you. It's like, you're not even gonna try and stop him.
Yeah.
Like you just said like you care about him now, but you're not even gonna like give him the choice. It's like,
Go
no,
on.
you go on.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on then. Like, you're volunteering, I guess.
Have a go at anything you're hard enough.
Be on your way.
Prove yourself. Because I'm not proud of you.
I'm not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. You ain't done nothing.
If you win, I will be. If you
nothing.
win, I will be.
It's another one of those instances, because I think his response in the original is like, you don't have to go up there, and Hiccup says, oh, we're Vikings, it's an occupational hazard, as like one of the clever bits of dialogue writing where that was said earlier by Stoic, I think. So it's that whole thing of bringing back his own words in like a different context, which we talked about with the Lilo and Stitch one. Is they never do it in the live action remakes. They never have that thing of bringing lines back in different contexts, and they just don't have the same impact anymore.
Yeah, there's a certain structural thing that just changes somewhere along the lines, and it just makes things not work. I think another problem with this is that the humor, although it stands the test of time, the humor of the original is very 2010s in that kind of like, oh, awkward kind of like, it's that sort of humor, which I think has just moved on. Society has kind of moved on from that a bit, and it's just so 2010s. So I think the fact they're trying to deliver that again in the same way doesn't work for like today's sort of humor standards. So I think that was just another thing that didn't translate, but it like worked just because we knew the characters already and knew the storyline. There were some emotional beats here that managed to work, but again, the story's just good. We just already care about these characters. The Toothless design is basically exactly the same.
Just so HD texture pack on it.
Yeah, they basically reused those animations, I'm pretty sure. So I still cared about Toothless, obviously, because it was the exact same fucking thing. So yeah, there's elements of this, I think, that are passable, but overall felt just unnecessary. Didn't quite nail the heart, I think, of the originals.
Yeah, I think I was watching like some of the behind the scenes stuff of it, and it's like it's the first live action remake where they've brought back the director of the original to do the remake, and which is why it ended up so similar. But I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to get a new director when you're doing the remake, because then you're going to have a completely fresh and new approach to it.
Yeah, new vision. Yeah, that's interesting. It's the same guy. Interestingly enough, the same director of Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah,
it's all connected. Although he didn't do the Lilo and Stitch. He didn't do the Lilo and
Stitch remake,
but I do think Chris Sanders still did Stitch's voice in the new one.
Yeah.
It's a mess. But yeah, that is interesting, because it's like a guy that's worked primarily in animation, by the looks of it, is now directing a live action film, but it's based on the animation he's done. So it's that thing of just, I don't know, studio execs going, well, you know the film. Yep. Go on then.
You know the film. You know Nick Frost.
You know Nick Frost.
Be happy.
So go get it. Get it.
He's not going to do much. He's not really going to make you laugh at any point.
Yeah, true. Yeah, another underutilized miscasting. There's problems all over the shop here, I think. Some bits I enjoyed. Certain beats managed to work because they're a carbon copy.
There's a few extra like slapstick bits which are funny, but
yeah, there's a couple of slapsticky bits. Like I said earlier, there's a couple of funny pratfalls and stuff that did make me giggle.
But that's always funny when people fall down.
But that's just funny anyway. That's just a funny bit to do. Overall, just unnecessary.
Yeah, just watch the original one.
And it's not as if like we've aged out of the original. Like, it's only 15 years ago. It's not some 80s film.
It's impossible to age out of animation. It's not possible.
Especially when it's not set in like the time it was made. It's just like Viking time. It's like timeless.
Yeah.
Like Lilo and Stitch at least is like, that's set in the early 2000s. They've got old phones and stuff. You could at least update that. But There's absolutely no need to do this one.
Why do we do that? Why
are we doing this, guys?
What have we done?
Why are we doing this?
What have I done?
It's not your fault, don't worry. Next up, The Salt Path. A recommend from me.
Yeah, I'd say recommend as well.
Not only a recommend. My best of the month.
Because
I'm going to put 500 miles over this. But obviously... No, I'm going to put 500 miles over this. You know, the walking song. You ruined this moment for me.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness today.
Yes, my best of the month. This was right up my street, which is also something you walk on. This was right up my salt path. That's good, isn't it? That's good.
Come on, everyone. That was a good one. Come on, it was well structured. Come on, everyone.
It works. Yeah, I love this. This was just a beautiful story about the resilience of the human spirit, kindness, and that's it, really.
Yeah,
having no money.
I can't remember the last time I came out of a movie and just thought, you know what, that was really nice.
Yeah.
That was just a really nice movie.
It was.
That was just really sweet and just really wholesome. Even though it's a movie where basically nothing happens, you're invested the whole way through.
Exactly. Yeah, because the characters are so strong. So this is based on the true story of a couple who are made homeless and end up just walking the Salt Path, which is around the south coast of England, I believe. And just figure it out on the way, and they just, there's lots of little adventures along the way, and it's based on a true story from the book. Yeah, they're played by Gillian Anderson and Jason Isaacs, who I thought had great chemistry on screen, played this world-weary couple very well. My only gripe of the film is there's a massive plot point to do with him looking like Simon Armitage, the poet, who Jason Isaacs does not look anything like.
Nothing like Simon Armitage.
I also googled the real guy he's based on. Still doesn't look like Simon Armitage, so I don't know what was happening with that whole thing.
I don't know, maybe it's just because they both wear bucket hats.
They both wear bucket hats and have got grey hair. That's kind of where it ends.
Older people.
Yeah, it's not the kind of film that has twists and turns and massive plot points. There were certain moments where it felt like that kind of thing was going to happen, but then it is just so... It's so grounded, I guess, and because it is just based on a true story, there isn't much room for manoeuvring in there. They didn't super dramatize a lot of it, which I think some of these films do fall into quite easily, is the over-dramatization, the melancholy of melodrama, I suppose is the word. I think this did a good job at making it much more focused on their relationship and how they dealt with their problems through just sheer power of will and just we're going to be okay, and it is going to be okay, and just making it through these breakdowns and these issues together as a unit, and just never leaving each other's side. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, I think one of the things they do really well, because it's so encapsulated just for this couple, it's relative to them, it's a very small... Obviously for them it's a massive deal, but it's quite a small scale story. And what they do really well is taking things that we would see as very small moments in our lives and making them seem massive and larger than life. Like the whole part about him reading out the part of Beowulf and people donating money for his performance, and for that's just a spur of the moment thing that people might do for a laugh.
Yeah.
But for them, it's massive and game changing for them.
It pays their way for the next few days. I think something nice about it as well is it is actually such a positive film. Conceptually, it's quite negative. This terrible thing has happened to their lives. They've kind of lost everything. It could be easily a very depressing and emotionally devastating film. And don't get me wrong, it is at times. But I think it manages to insert so much positivity in there. I think because they are just such positive characters, that there is these beautiful moments like the Beowulf reading scene. These moments along the way where they really appreciate the world around them and the areas that they're in and the natural world, I suppose, and the simple things in life. And like you say, they are made into these huge deals for them because it's it's all they've got in those moments is just clinging on to these small beautiful things, which that's the title of every novel right now.
Yeah.
Small beautiful things. That is why you come out of it going, oh, that was really nice, even though it's a very hopeful story, and spoiler alert, they're still around. They're doing fine. They've made plenty of money off the book now, I guess. They managed to turn things around. But I think it does make such a beautiful story out of such a horrible time in their lives, and manages to display that well without getting too dramatic with it and getting too dark with it.
It's kind of like it seems like they do like a rug pull to the opposite effect, because normally when you think of the rug pull, it's something that like gives you like a gut punch right at the end. This movie seems framed in a way where it's going to be a tragedy, in that like, he has this degenerative disease, and it all kind of seems like it's going to be like his swan song, and to achieve this one last thing before he ultimately passes, and then right at the end it's like, actually no, he's fine.
He's fine. He's still here. He's still kicking.
He's fine.
Because it is just based on the true story, and he's just alive still, which is great. But yeah, I think any other film, or if it was fiction, it would have leaned into those twists. But like we say, there's certain moments where it seems like it's going to be a twist, or it's going to be a big plot point, and then it ends up not being. Because like there's the scene where they get invited into that house,
yeah,
because they think he's Simon Armitage, and they want to meet him and offer them dinner and stuff. And I sort of thought like, oh, there's going to be some big thing. It's going to be, are they swingers, or like, it's going to be something like that. But yeah, it ends up just being kind of a twist that we already knew.
Yeah, mistaken identity.
Yeah, it's like just a very simple thing, and nothing really comes of it. They just sort of leave, and yeah, I think it just sells those moments quite well. But yeah, any other film I think would try and make more dramatized, but they managed to keep it nice and grounded. Great film, bloody great film. I loved it.
We'll see how Stephen King's Walking movie.
Yeah, the Walking universe. The next film in the Walking cinematic universe.
It's The Walking Dead, but without the dead.
Oh no, do I have to catch up on The Walking Dead before I watch The Long Walk?
No, you have to catch up on The Longest Yard.
Oh, of course. Also The Long Walk to Freedom.
Yeah.
And Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, it's all in there.
Oh, there's a lot to cover.
Next up, 28 years later. But it's not. It's actually more like 23, maybe, I don't know. Right off the bat, easy recommend from me. And also, my best of the month.
And I would walk 500 miles.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 28.
Oh, that's good. This is not a recommend from me because I didn't see it.
Because I didn't see it, so I can't recommend it, unfortunately. Yeah, weird timeline stuff aside, this movie's fucking great. I've seen some sort of like mixed reception to it. It's quite different to the two previous ones. There's a few little like lore changes. Things are a little bit different this time around. One thing that I do appreciate right off the bat for them to do is retcon the ending of 28 Weeks Later, because even though 28 Weeks Later is okay, I think it's the weakest of the three, and it's the one that was very, very like Hollywoodized in a way. It was a different director. They had more Americans in the cast. I think that's the one with Jeremy Renner in. And the ending of that is kind of, they show the infected kind of crossing the border into Paris, and then once Danny Boyle came back to do this one, he was kind of like, no, we're not doing that. There's a little bit at the beginning, a little snippet is like, the infection tried to spread to Europe, but they very quickly got it under control, because I think it was the right call that he wanted this to kind of stay a very like specific to the UK thing, just because that's more interesting.
Danny Boyle hates the French, famously.
Hates the French, hates the rest of Europe. He was a true Brexiteer. Yeah, a few big names in this cast. Obviously, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who always forget is English. Yeah. I think I just associate him more with like the Hollywood, more American roles.
He's one of those
like
where he's done more American voices probably than English.
Jodie Comer, who I never forget is English because she is very obviously English. She doesn't sound like that. She doesn't sound like that in this.
Jodie Comer.
And Ray Fiennes as well. Always nice to see Ray Fiennes doing things. I think he's great. I didn't know going into this that this was all filmed quite local to us, because it's mostly set on like an island community. I believe it's Lindisfarne, so it's all set around like Northumberland. A lot of very thick Geordie accents going on, a lot of very specific geographical locations and mentions that we'll be familiar with. Got an audible kind of very melancholy reaction in the cinema because they show these characters walking past the Sycamore Gap at one point with the tree still there, and
it still hurts, man. It's still
it's still there in spirit. Still there in spirit.
It's still there, immortalized forever. In 28 years later.
Which is not set 28 years. It's not set 28 years later. It's not. Yeah, they said it's set in 2025. 28 years later from I'm assuming 28 days because that's when the outbreak first happens, but that's set in 2002. So the math ain't mathing there.
Oh, so it actually is 23.
It should be.
I thought you meant just film release wise. I guess it's both.
I think maybe there's like a time jump in there somewhere, but yeah, for the most part, it's set in 2025 just because it's easier for films to do that. Great to see it. I think this is one of my favorite interpretations of like the whole zombie genre, or specifically not zombies, because Danny Boyle will kick up a fuss if you call them zombies. He's very much like, they're not zombies.
I hate when they do that.
They're not zombies. They're infected.
I hate when things do that. Just say it.
What's
say it
the-
with your chest.
I suppose it's because like it's a big part of like, depending on how you depict zombies in media, they kind of act as a metaphor for different things. Whereas his very specifically is because it's a rage virus. They're still bound by like human limitations, but it's kind of that idea of how close we are to collapse if we let our anger get the better of us. It's that very thin line between like civility and the complete collapse of civilization as we know it. Just how fragile it is, that balance. There's a few like little lore changes here. We now have something of like a hierarchy amongst the infected. There's new infected that they refer to as alphas, who are like bigger and stronger and seem to lead packs of them, but they're still just kind of like as wild and crazy as they were. I had a weird experience seeing this in that the first, like the opening 5 minutes or so, the cold open to the movie, I watched in complete silence because the sound in the cinema broke, and I initially thought it was just a directorial choice because I was like, this is kind of like a really cool thing, and that they're just specifically focus on how like visceral and violent this is by letting you focus on just the action without anything to distract you. And then when it was obvious that people were talking to each other and saying important things, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is broken.
Everyone starts
this
being
is
like,
broken. And then someone goes out and it's like, yeah, we're going to turn everything off and on again, and we're going to rewind it and let you play again. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
It's always like just waiting for that one person to go and tell somebody.
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to be the one to go out and be like, by the way.
Yeah, I think everyone's great in this, especially like big kind of props to Alfie Williams. I don't know if he's done a lot of acting before, but he plays Spike in this movie, who sort of ends up being the de facto main character of this 12-year-old boy who initially goes out with his father as this sort of ritual among their little community, goes to the mainland. It's this sort of interesting concept of they're on this island community and they can only get back there from the mainland at certain points because when the tide comes in, they're completely separated. But yes, it's sort of ritual of you have to go in there, kill a few infected, you have to get your first taste of bloodlust. And then you've got Jodie Comer playing his mother, who's bedridden for the most part.
Jodie Comer.
Jodie Comer.
So it's like Tourette's for me. I have to do that
Yeah.
every time.
Who's not
Jodie
Scouse.
Comer.
She's not Scouse in this. She's also doing the Geordie voice.
Jodie Comer.
It's all like very surreal at times. There's a lot of like intersplicing of like very visceral imagery. There's like a Rudyard Kipling poem that was included in the trailer a lot that it talks about like the horrors of war, like the outcomes of it, and it's when they first go to the mainland, it sort of sets up this idea of like, now you're on your own, now you're in like the reality of your situation. There's a lot of like comedic moments as well that discuss these kind of concepts that aren't often discussed in zombie media, because one of the questions I always have when watching like zombie things is this just happening here?
Yeah.
Like stuff like The Walking Dead, I think, is this specific to America? Is like the rest of the world like dealing with this right now? But there's a Swedish character who comes in at one point and he meets up with Spike at one point and he's talking to him about all this stuff about like delivery drivers and ordering stuff on the internet. It's like, oh, I guess like in the rest of the world everything is just running as normal.
Yeah.
It's this very bizarre like back and forth of Spike has only ever grown up in this world of being overrun with infected. He's never known anything else, whereas the rest of the world is just living with their modern amenities like nothing's happening. Eventually they go and find the doctor, which is Ray Fiennes' character, who has a very bizarre kind of outlook, but is very like well spoken and well justifies his views on sort of life and death and the balance between it. He is the one who kind of constructs this big bone temple, which is like a tribute to those fallen, and the fact that while everyone else is kind of seeing the infected as just like a mindless threat that you have to cull in order to make things easier for yourself, he still sees them as like, these were people once. These were just like you and I. And so he constructs this big monument to everyone that we kind of lost along the way. So there's a lot of really cool like thematic stuff going on. I feel like the experience of watching this was a lot more surreal than kind of the other two. The other two were much more standard zombie movie fare, but this is much more kind of discusses all these different concepts, a lot of like theatrical stuff going on. But once it gets to the end of it, very bizarre ending to set up the fact that this is, like it's the third in a trilogy, but also the first in a new trilogy, has a really bizarre kind of ending that a lot of people are very torn on because it seems like it came from a different film, in that Spike kind of goes off in his own, away from the community, and he's doing his own thing now. And he runs into a character called Jimmy, who was a child in the opening for this movie. So they do like a completely separate opening that's set in the Scottish Highlands, and then the character from that comes back at the end, and it seems that we're going to see more of what's been going on with him, perhaps in like the sequels coming out. Very weird that his whole crew is like this weird little cult where they're all called Jim or Jimmy or some variation of Jimmy, and specifically dressed like Jimmy Savile. They all,
I did see this.
Yeah, they're all very like dressed up the same as him, which I guess in this timeline someone pointed out that
he would never have been outed.
It would have happened. Yeah, he would
So
never
he's
would have been
still, like,
outed.
an
So
icon.
he's still idolized by people that grew up during that time. It's
Weird.
weird from a viewer's perspective, but in the timeline it makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite a fun kind of detail to be like, this is how the world. It's like a small thing of how the world would be different.
Yeah, very ballsy move, but we'll see how it goes in the sequels. But
Maybe he'll make a cameo.
maybe.
You never know.
Maybe. Who knows? We've got that digital de-aging tech. Yeah, other than like all the crazy themes and stuff running throughout, plenty of violence, plenty of action, very cool like Mortal Kombat moves going on with, these zombies ripping people's spines out. So it's got a balance of everything. It's got a balance of everything that you're looking for. Probably wouldn't say as good, or I liked it as much as 28 Days Later, but I think it's a much more worthy successor than 28 Weeks was. So overall, like, real good stuff. Next up, Ballerina, from the world of John Wick. Yeah, I'd say recommend from me. It's a John Wick movie. Without John Wick, what can I say? Everything you're kind of expecting from a John Wick movie is there. It's very clean, very choreographed with his action sequences. Ana de Armas does a very good job of throwing herself into this role with the physicality, with having to do a lot of this highly paced, highly physical kind of performances with all the action sequences. I say a John Wick movie without John Wick, I lied. John Wick is in it.
It's not a spoiler because they did it in the trailer.
Yeah, those fucking idiots. I get that they have to sell tickets.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
like
that
the
they have
only
to sell
way to get
tickets.
people there, probably.
It would have been so much cooler if like they had not mentioned it at all.
You've already got Ana de Armas to sell tickets.
Yeah.
She's reason enough.
Like, and you've put it in the title that is a John Wick movie. It's in the John Wick universe. So have it be a surprise when he shows up. It would have been a much cooler moment. But aside from that, yeah, very straightforward John Wicking kind of affair. It's a revenge story with trained assassins fighting trained assassins, which is, that's what John Wick is. There's very little to talk about in terms of, the depth of story or characters. It's practically non-existent. That's not what you're watching these movies for. You're watching it for the action, for the violence, for the big set pieces. And this has all of it, so it's good. I think at this point, it's harder to get involved with this one just because it's not John Wick in the lead, and we've kind of grown accustomed to him being there. He's kind of been built up as a bit more of a character over the course of 4 movies, so trying to attach to someone else is difficult. But I think, Ana de Armas does a good job of making herself likable and giving us a good central character to hook onto. Norman Reedus shows up a couple of times in a very Norman Reedus role of, gruff man.
Scraggly head man.
Scraggly head gruff man, which is the only thing he can play, but, goddamn can he play it well. Ballerina, simple premise, not an original premise, just part of a series. Good part of a series. Just solid entry. Solid entry all round. Not a lot to say, but good time, good fun time. Just like all the John Wick movies are. If you just go in there and you're going to have a fun time watching them.
And a good time, just like the ballet, when you go see the ballet.
When you go and see the ballet, when you definitely go and see the ballet, that's definitely something I've done in my
Definitely
life.
something I've done, and definitely something I know about, and could name several.
I could name several ballets other than Swan Lake or the Nutcracker. I could
Yeah.
name several.
I don't want to, though.
I don't want to.
I don't want to.
I don't have to prove myself to anyone, to be honest.
I know that I can, so...
I know.
Maybe if you name some, just to see if, like, we know the same ones.
Yeah,
If
no,
you
I would just
some
say, oh,
first,
yeah, same. Oh, yeah, same.
maybe.
Yeah, no, I would have said that, yeah.
And I'll just be like, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
of
a good
course,
one.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Next up, Deep Cover. This is a recommend from me. I enjoyed this. So this is sort of a nice, simple action comedy with a fun premise. So it's about 3 improv comedians / aspiring actors that end up going into a job as undercover police to infiltrate a drug ring as part of kind of a new program, because improvisers and actors are better at the faking part of it to infiltrate stuff. It's an interesting film because the 3 leads here are quite a random selection of actors. So we've got Bryce Dallas Howard as the teacher of the improv class where they all meet. We've got Orlando Bloom, who is playing the kind of method actor archetype guy who really, really gets into all his roles no matter what they are. He's like auditioning for adverts and he's like made up backstories for these like voiceover characters and stuff. And then we've got Nick Mohammed rounding out the main 3.
Hello,
Mr. Swallow, as a
small man.
as a small man, as a timid IT technician guy, just works in an office. You know, tries to get in with the cool ones and is bullied by his co-workers and has no confidence. Who starts taking these improv classes to learn confidence and social skills. And so, yeah, they end up, all 3 of them, through, you know, plot events, being recruited for this program. And they infiltrate this drug ring. And what ensues is just a nice sort of like a romp, a nice romp. It really reminded me of kind of those mid-2010s. I mention this era a lot just because I'm a big fan of it, but the Judd Apatow sort of era of comedy, where comedy was on the big screen, comedy was a genre.
Comedy was comedy.
Where comedy was real comedy, man. You can't say anything anymore. Yeah, because, you know, we've talked about it before, but these days, comedy is kind of shoehorned into other genres. We've got a lot of superhero films that have quips and funny moments. And, you know, there's all these things that don't take themselves quite seriously. Comedy is kind of just in TV mostly now. There's less just straight up comedy films. So this was a kind of nice, refreshing change of pace, I think. And so, yeah, it's really funny that they have such good chemistry. For such a kind of ragtag group of lead actors here. They all bounce off each other really well. They're all super likable. You really, really get invested quite quickly. And the storyline itself, you know, obviously it's a bit far-fetched and it's very action comedy and there's lots of fun action-y moments, chase sequences and things. You know, they get embroiled deeper and deeper into this drug ring, and there's obviously big twists and turns here and there that I don't want to spoil, but the scenes where, you know, they accidentally kill someone, or it's like that sort of stuff, and they have to keep bumbling their way through these situations and get out of it. And yeah, it's just a really entertaining ride. Like I say, it's the kind of thing that's up my street. I just love these sort of silly comedies that you know, are just in for the fun of it. And I think it's refreshing to see Orlando Bloom do a bit of comedy actually as well. Or even Bryce Dallas Howard, although she has played some comedy roles and things. But I feel like Orlando's mainly done kind of drama-y, blockbuster-y.
Yeah, he's definitely not the funny one in Pirates.
No, definitely not. And so, yeah, to the point where like it's not as if Nick Mohammed is just the funny one. Like they all bring comedy chops to the table very well. And like I say, it's their dynamic that I think makes this film so likable, them as a group. It just works. I think this worked. Nothing special. Just a fun time. So yeah, I'd recommend this if you want a nice laugh for an hour and a half.
That would hurt, I think.
Honestly, I've got rock hard abs now.
I've got nothing left.
Absolutely rock hard abs. Yeah, Deep Cover. Check it out. Amazon Prime.
Not sponsored.
We're not sponsored. Fuck you, Jeff.
Next up, Elio. I'd say a bit between, so I'd say not a recommend for me because I'm very like half and half on it. A movie that by all rights is fine. It's very like sort of just modern Pixar in that like I feel like I haven't really connected to a lot of modern Pixar stuff.
It's quite funny that people always say they're doing too many sequels, but then in the last few years they've done quite a lot of originals that have just not really
that have
done
not,
well
yeah,
at all.
like Elemental or
Even Soul,
Turning
as good as that
Red. Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
popular. Like Luca, it's quite funny that like you don't blame them for doing sequels, do you? Toy Story 5 is a safe bet at this point.
It just makes money every
Yeah.
time. It just makes money. Yeah, a lot of people say they don't like it because of like the animation style. Like I was like, it's not the animation style that's a problem. Because if anything, they can do more with where they're going because they've sort of taken it back to a more cartoony kind of route, similar to Turning Red. I felt like that was a lot more cartoonish with its expressions and its movements and its characters. And same with this one. My issue with Elio as a movie is that because it's largely set in this weird, like, alien world, like this big space council, very unfamiliar territory for us. It's all like weird looking alien stuff. When you do a movie like that where it's all like a big fantastical world, you have to have like an anchor for the audience to latch onto to experience it through them. And Elio as a character doesn't work in that way. If I could compare it to something like Futurama, right? Futurama, very similar thing in that like it's a much more space age, weird, fantastical world. But Fry as a character works as an anchor point because he's like the everyman. He had like a lot of traits that most people can relate to. Whereas Elio is like a weird kid who is obsessed with aliens. It's a very specific thing. Like he is a very specific. He's got some very specific traits that it's much more difficult to relate to. So it's kind of like everything you're looking at on screen is just weird and alien, but in the most literal sense. And it's kind of, it tries to do that whole movie trope that animation loves to do all the time of, oh, the moral is you're just gonna, just be yourself, just unashamedly be yourself. And like eventually things will work out. You'll find the people who are genuinely like your friends and genuinely love you. It's like, we can't do this in a weird, well, we can't do it in like a unique way at Pixar anymore. It seems like so much of it is just the same. It's the same movie, just reskinned a lot of their recent stuff. I get that like they're trying to make it more interesting by thinking the road we have to take is do all of these crazy looking designs, do all of these crazy looking like visuals and locations and stuff that people have never seen before. But I think the whole thing is people just want genuine characters, because that's the way you tell a story, is by having characters that are driving the narrative. Isn't driven by like the setting or like the visuals. It's the characters that are at the heart of it, and none of the characters here are strong enough to carry this movie to be anything more than just like acceptable. It's the best way to describe it. This movie is like, it's passable. Acceptable. It's passable as a movie. It's definitely one of the movies of all time.
Give it that. It feels like Pixar's old formula used to be, what if these non-human things had feelings like humans? And their new formula is kid embroiled in a world that isn't their own.
Yeah, they've gone the complete opposite of, like take something like Monsters Inc., for example. That was just a workplace setting. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was a factory.
A fun twist on
but
that.
they're all monsters, and we're playing around with how they would do things that we recognize, but how they would do it differently. Same with like cars. It's like, it's all stuff that we recognize, but how do like the cars interact with this world now that they do things differently?
Yeah. Bug's Life is like comments on like the class system. I feel like there's like adult themes that are done maturely in some of the older stuff that they don't hit quite as well these days, it seems like.
I think it's really hard to do like a fish out of water kind of story where they are the main character and they have no one else to play off of. It would be like if they did Teen Titans, but like Starfire is the only one, and she's just an alien on Earth and doesn't understand anything, and there's no other characters there to like guide them. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's weird. It doesn't work. Just go back to what you were doing. I mean, like Elemental seems like it should have been that. I didn't watch Elemental, but like that seems like that's probably closer to the right thing.
Yeah, that seemed like it was like a society of non-human things with feelings. I mean, some of the new stuff I think has been cool.
Yeah.
Like Soul is good.
Soul's good.
I thought Luca was pretty good.
But that's because, again, they're just set in the real world. Yeah. But there's an extra aspect to their character. Because even like Turning Red, it's just like there's an extra aspect to their character that makes it fantastical. But for the most part, it's in reality. Whereas this, for the most part, is in space, unrecognizable, and they don't have anything to kind of to pull it back. Not a recommend for me. You can go see it if you want, but
we're not stopping yet.
I'm not going to stop.
Listen, when we say not recommend,
that doesn't.
it's
That
not
doesn't
on
mean,
us if you then see it.
We're not banning you from seeing it.
Yeah.
It's just that like
we're just saying
I'm not singing its praises.
Don't go and see it because of us. If we're saying not recommend, don't be like, oh, HAZMAT
don't say that
talks
I
about
sent
this.
you here.
Yeah.
Don't besmirch my good name by saying that I said this was good. Next up, Mithrigan 2.0. This is a recommend from me. I know this has been another one that's had a bit of a mixed reception. I think mostly because it's pretty much quite an obvious genre change for the sequel, but that made sense. I don't think they could have done the creepy killer doll thing as a horror movie twice. Because I think even with the first one, they were quite self-aware with what kind of movie it was, which is why it was so good, is that they kind of lent into like the schlockiness and the campiness of it. It was like, we know this is like quite a silly concept, so we're going to lean into that, but still have it be a horror movie, but we're just going to like have fun with it. We're just going to roll with the silliness and the wackiness of the concept. And so they kind of knew going into the sequels, like, yeah, we can't do that again. So instead, we're just gonna ramp it up, just go completely off the wall and make this a weird, like, sci-fi action espionage kind of movie. Then this one, there is like a completely separate android who is created using the base code that was used to create Megan. She's kind of gone rogue and is supposedly killing anyone that had anything to do with like her creation. And now they have to recommission Megan, who they supposedly thought they'd destroyed in the first one. They have to bring her back to help out with taking down this rogue android in the sequel, which is why it's much more like action oriented, because it's like a whole like stop the bad guy, save the world kind of story this time around. But again, they know the concept's silly, they know it's far-fetched and unbelievable, so they lean into it. And of course I enjoyed this because it very much comes across as like another John Wick kind of movie, with lots of like very stylized, very choreographed action sequences, just with like sometimes very cartoonish violence to it, and just very cool like visually. I think when you watch these movies, you have to kind of get over the initial look of how like Megan looks, because she's very like uncanny in her design. But once you get into it, it's like, yeah, this is a fun ride. I'm having fun watching this. Brian Jordan Alvarez is here, so always give him a big thumbs up when you see him on the street. When you see him passing on the street, don't talk to him. Very busy man. Don't talk to him, but just give him a big thumbs up as you pass. Yeah, this delves much more into like the ethics of AI and how we're using it, and like what kind of damage it can cause, what kind of limitations should be put in place, when does the boundary set off of like, this is no longer just a set of numbers, but this is kind of intelligent enough to be seen as like a real living thing with its own thoughts and feelings and wants and desires. Which, like, I feel they use the term AI so much in this movie, it's a little bit weird in our current climate, because we associate it so much with just being an overall negative thing. But when you're talking about, like, benefits of it, of how we can kind of create much smarter, almost like companions in a way, that are designed to make your life easier. And we start getting into this concept of these are like almost friends in a way, like they're so intelligent that these are now part of our family, these are people that we know. We just don't talk about that enough now, because AI is just like, look at this weird fucking slop picture I made. I've made myself a Studio Ghibli character. I did this, I made this. I didn't just type some things into a prompt. No, I made
I'm an artist, because I typed several things in a prompt.
I typed at least 7 words into it.
Took me a while.
I had to think of them.
I had to type at least 7 things in there.
I had to get the dictionary out to make sure I was spelling it right.
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't believe.
But yeah, I think generative AI has just been kind of co-opted into the AI just means that.
We've kind of forgotten about like what it could be, because they've taken a weird path of, yeah, we're trying to make your lives easier by making sure that there's no creative input anymore. You don't have to think of anything.
Yeah.
Like, it just does it for you now. Yeah, it's much more interesting to think of like an AI creation as being like something that can learn from its environment and learn from the people around it and become its own thinking model. And sometimes that's bad. Sometimes you get like an Ultron. Sometimes you get a Mathregan, who, yeah, was bad the first time around, but now she's on our side. Now she's cool.
Second time lucky.
Sometimes you just have to run with it. Sometimes you just have to run with it, and eventually it'll come. It'll all come good. I promise. Promise. I swear we're not promoting the robot uprising. We don't want a Skynet situation. That's not what we're pushing for.
Unless the robots are listening, in which case.
You
go, guys. Go for it.
I'm all for our new robot overlords.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. But yeah, just a fun all-round time. The movie has evolved. They knew they couldn't do horror, straight-up horror again, so they changed it into a much more campy action thriller experience.
It's a fun idea.
The movie evolved, much like Megan has evolved, much like AI is evolving.
Next up, Mountainhead. Mountainhead is a recommend from me, but it's a light one. In terms of, I enjoyed watching this. I don't know if it's good, but I certainly enjoyed watching it.
I would never watch it again, ever.
Funnily enough, speaking of AI destroying the world, this film is about 4 billionaires who hold themselves up in a mansion in the mountains as an AI creation tool that one of them released on their social media app is quite literally destroying the world in terms of it's creating fake news stories, fake videos of people declaring war on each other, and it's actually causing like riots and wars and stuff happening. So it's a pretty extreme sort of satire on like what's been going on with generative AI. So it's the latest from Jesse Armstrong, who most people these days know best for writing Succession. But we will know best from co-creating Peep Show.
From having strong arms.
That as well, from visiting the moon, being first on the moon.
Of being disqualified from winning all the Tour de France's.
And being the lead singer of Green Day. So we'll know him best from Peep Show. He co-created Peep Show with Sam Bain and Fresh Meat, and I think he wrote in the thick of it. He sort of moved from British sitcoms to like these sort of satirical American dramas nowadays. And this is I haven't seen Succession. It's been on my watch list for a while. I know I'm pretty late to it. I'm sorry. But from sort of the bits I've seen of it, this seemed like it was very much in the vein of Succession, writing and directing wise. The cameras are very in the room and naturalistic, and the dialogue is very almost Aaron Sorkin-esque, talking over each other, quick-paced, snappy lines. And I think the 4 characters here, 4 pretty good actors that have good chemistry and bounce off each other well. So it's Steve Carell, Corey Michael Taylor, Rami Youssef, and Jason Schwartzman. So it's a fun little group here. And the film, because it is up in this mountain mansion, and they're sort of doing a weekend together, so they send a lot of the staff away, so there's barely any other characters in this. So they sort of have to carry it on their own. And we get all the updates from the world just through what they're chatting about and stuff. But yeah, it sort of starts out as this kind of what seems like it's going to be kind of a biting satire about the billionaire class and the tech bro landscape, and comments on the dangers of letting these people just use the world as their playground. But it very quickly turns into this kind of like farcical, like sort of slapstick comedy almost. It's quite weird. It sort of escalates. Yeah, things start getting a bit sort of silly towards the end, and I think it ramps towards a climax that we don't quite get. It's a bit of an anticlimax towards the end. I don't think it quite stuck the landing, but I enjoyed the journey and I enjoyed them bouncing off each other. I thought, yeah, all of them together sort of worked really well. But yeah, I think the sort of satire of it was very on the nose. Like, it pretty much slaps you in the face. It's not hiding what it's trying to say here. Yeah, just it's stuff that has been said quite a lot recently, with things like Succession, even like Mickey 17.
Yeah.
There's these, Elon Musk archetypes now in these things. Jeff Bezos, one of the characters is literally called Jeff in this. So yeah, it's unoriginal satire, I think, which is why, I'm saying I don't know if it's like actually good or like useful. It's not particularly saying anything new other than, yeah, these billionaires need to be stopped. They're insane and they're actually quite insecure. What I did like that it was able to do was kind of show that like side where they keep justifying these things and keep justifying these actions. It's that classic like, when movies first came out, people were scared of the train coming through, and like, you know, people don't like innovation to start with, but they get used to it. And all these lines that these guys use to justify like these technological developments that just make them more money and ultimately down the line make society and the world worse. And just the fact that they are just dismantling our societies for their own gain, but deep down they're actually these just insecure fucking losers that have just like made it that far through like, I don't know, just sheer, what's the word I'm looking for? Stubbornness, maybe? You know, you don't get to be a billionaire in an ethical way. I don't know if there's an ethical way to become a billionaire. That is so much fucking money.
Apart from winning the lottery.
Apart from, I guess, winning the lottery. Have any of them been a bit winning a Squid Game? Maybe that's maybe the least ethical way to become a billionaire.
Well, no, because everyone's on an equal footing there.
Right. Okay.
The people running it.
It depends if
it's
you've
unethical,
killed anyone.
but the people participating.
Right. Yeah. So maybe Squid Game's the only ethical way to become a billionaire. And the lottery.
And the lottery. And finding it in a hole.
Yeah, just that. So yeah, all in all, a fun, unexpectedly comedy romp. I knew it was going to be funny, obviously, but it seemed like it was going to be mostly the sort of banter and back and forth, and then it does become quite slapsticky towards the end. Yeah, the message is very sort of simple and has been done a million times at this point. I'd recommend it if you want, you know, a good laugh and a good reminder that these billionaires are not good people. Mountainhead. Amazon Prime. Fuck you, Jeff. I think it was actually Sky Atlantic.
Especially you, Mark. Fuck you.
Who owns Sky Atlantic? Anyone we know?
I don't know. Someone. Next up, Clown in a Cornfield. What could that be about?
Probably a trapeze artist in a maze.
Very easily not a recommend from me. Did not realize going into this that this is based on a horror novel.
I thought you were going to say true story there. I was like, oh my god.
No, based on a horror novel of which there are 3, I believe, already.
Wow.
I don't know whether this movie's made money. I can imagine it did, because it's a horror movie and it's very easy for them to make money.
Yep.
So it could potentially see sequels along the way based on the other books, but very, very typical horror movie setup here of a teen character moves from big city to small town America and creepy stuff start happening is pretty much the entire concept of this, with like a twist that, you know, as soon as you get to the sort of the halfway point in the movie, you know exactly what the twist is. So I guess does it even count? No, the twist is not, you know, that
there isn't a clown in the cornfield.
No, I will give it away. It's that there are clowns in the cornfield. Yeah, this starts off a very typical slasher affair of, you know, this girl makes friends with a group of teens who are very like modern teens. They have like a YouTube channel where they film all these different pranks, and they're sort of seen as, you know, the troublemakers of the town. A lot of the town are very angry because they were like, oh, they're always like doing these dumb pranks and getting into trouble and being bastards. And they eventually start getting, you know, killed off in varying ways of violence and gruesomeness, until eventually there's a whole big set piece where they're doing like a party and they get attacked by a whole bunch of clowns. And then as soon as that happens, you're like, oh, I get it. It's the whole town. The whole town is the bad guy. You're like, immediately, you're like, that's it. You know, all of these clowns are going to get a mask, and it's just it's going to be the various townsfolk we've seen introduced prior. It's like, lo and behold, here you go. Like, here's the sheriff. Here's the guy who runs the shop. Here's the fucking school teacher. It's everyone that was introduced before as like just citizens of the town. It's like, yeah, they don't like the kids, so they're killing them off.
We're getting rid.
It's a bad crop of kids. We're killing them off like corn. It's a bad... Yeah, that's not me. That's something they say.
Come on.
They say that.
It's good, isn't it?
They specifically...
It works.
That is the specific justification they use in the movie.
And I would walk.
The only person I think I recognized in this was Kevin Durand. Speaking of Elon Musk, the guy who looks a lot like him.
God, we're linking them all up today, aren't we? Got a through line in this episode.
Yeah, Kevin Durand is the mayor of this small town, who eventually like gets exposed. Like, he's the ringleader of this whole operation.
I don't believe him as a mayor.
No, especially because I think I've seen more than one thing where he's like a proper meathead kind of character.
Yeah,
yeah, he's the mayor of the small town. Goes like full Joker mode. towards the end, like complete with like clown face paint, doing his whole spiel. Yeah, I don't know if this book has like a big following or if it's any better, but this just seemed very, very typical generic horror affair. Especially the fact that it's a clown. Like, it's kind of the first thing people will think of when you say what's something that typically scares someone. If you went on Family Feud and the question was like the thing, like what are the most common fears, clown is going to be on there.
A penis, Steve.
Oh, what? Yeah, nothing to see here with this movie at all. Every quote unquote scare you can see coming from a mile away. You can kind of call the twist from very early in, and not really anyone particularly likable either. I think especially in horror movies they struggle to write specifically teen characters, even though that's in every single horror movie. They very rarely make them likable.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we have to latch onto the things that like teens like social media and
TikTok
and the TikToks and the YouTubes. We have to latch onto that, and that's going to be their whole thing. And then we forget to, give them any other kind of really meaningful personality. They kind of get into the mindset, I feel, when they make horror movies, especially like this kind, where it's like, oh, these characters are gonna get killed off pretty soon anyway, so why even like bother setting them up as likable characters? But then the whole thing is like, okay, but then why do I care that they're dead? It would be more forgivable if like the kills were more creative. That's why we liked In a Violent Nature, because even though like none of the characters were really well established, like they put a different spin on it and at least were creative with a lot of the kills. But they just don't do that here. Very bland. This is like a mild on the spiciness level. They might make sequels, who knows? And maybe they'll get good. But this is an apathetic thumbs down for this one. Next up, Dangerous Animals. I'd also say probably not a recommend from me on this one. Again, for me at least, it's another horror movie that doesn't do a lot outside of the initial premise. They try to. I just don't think that it goes far enough with it to make it stand out. So this was obviously, I guess you'd call it a slasher movie, even though the killer isn't really slashing. He does some stabbing at some points.
A stabber movie. You seen the little stabber movie?
It's the stabber, the biter movie. This is a biter movie because obviously the concept of this is it's a guy who runs like a touristy kind of tour where you can dive in a shark cage, but he uses that to kidnap people and then like do live shark feedings, and that's how he murders people. Is he puts them out in the ocean and then feeds them to sharks, and it's like, I guess technically he didn't kill anyone, technically speaking. No, they try and do, I guess, kind of like a Buffalo Bill type thing with this killer, in that they establish him as having all these like weird like psychological issues, try and go it more in depth and have him do all these weird like performative things. The issue here is that I don't think Jai Courtney is a strong enough actor to pull off this kind of character and make it interesting to carry a whole movie. Because outside of that, it's very just much like, okay, here's our final girl. It's actually pretty much the only girl. Throughout the runtime of this, he kills like maybe two or three people. And the girl we're introduced to from the start, Zephyr, is pretty much the only one throughout this. It's like her and it's Jai Courtney's character. And, going into this, I'd completely forgotten that Jai Courtney existed. I don't know if you remember Jai Courtney being around.
I don't know if I know who it is. I mean, I know I've seen the trailer for this.
The only thing, it was where I recognised him from, the only thing you might remember him being was Captain Boomerang in the Suicide Squad movies.
I mean, I've seen that, so...
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
The Australian one in the Suicide Squad movies.
I haven't thought about them much since then, but sure.
Yeah, outside of that, like, really not like a lot going on. Yeah, maybe with someone who could have really leaned into the weirdness of this character could have made it a bit more interesting, because it relies so heavily on them being like such a presence, and he's just not, for the most part. Because outside of that, we really don't get like a lot of shark action. If they'd been a bit more shark, like bump up the numbers, I guess, to make it more interesting. Like you see one person he kills by way of shark, I believe, in the entire runtime. And then you see one other person die by way of shark as well. But if they'd, maybe got some of that in, it would just hold your attention a bit more. But for the most part, you're just watching Zephyr on a boat being handcuffed to a bed, and it's like, oh, now she's escaped. No, okay, no, she hasn't. Oh, she's escaped again. No, she hasn't. It's very much like that. It's teased like she's going to get away this time, and then she doesn't, until eventually the love interest, who they don't have a lot of time together. They're kind of just there from the beginning, which they spend like one night together, and so it's like, okay, why does this guy then fight so hard to come and rescue her and do all this effort to find out where she is and go and save her when like they've literally just met?
Bro wants to be Novocaine so bad.
Bro is not him.
You'll never be Jack Quaid.
You'll never be Jack Quaid. You won't even be Dennis Quaid. Back to back, like kind of very dull horror movies that don't do enough to expand upon the initial premise and give us something to dig our teeth into. Sharks. Like sharks. Like sharks. Like sharks.
What are you talking about sharks for?
I forget.
Next up, straw. Me to the pigs on my farm when I'm putting some more straw in their pen.
Me to the McDonald's employees when they ask if everything's in there.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
Come on, it's good stuff. Come on, everyone.
This is sadly not a recommend from me. We're in quite a slump. A few bad ones in a row now. Yep. So this is the latest from Tyler Perry, who, you know, I have to say I'm not super familiar with his work, but the premise for this just sounded interesting to me. It's a new Netflix film. So yeah, I gave it a go. But yeah, it's not a recommend. There's some good stuff here, but overall, I just thought this was not done very well and didn't achieve what it was trying to do, I think. It stars Taraji P. Henson as a single mother who is basically going through the worst day of her life, and through a certain sequence of events essentially ends up accidentally holding up a bank and causing like a hostage situation, kind of inadvertently. Now that premise to me sounds like it should be a sort of dark comedy.
Yeah.
But it's very much played for the melodrama of it all, and it takes itself very seriously. And I think it doesn't go dark enough to warrant that. And so I don't know if it should have leaned into kind of a more like darker comedy route. But yeah, anyway, that's just sort of my thoughts about it. But as it stands, I think it leans so hard on the melodrama to the point where a lot of the acting is almost kind of soap opera-esque here. I think Henson in the lead role does a really good job. But everyone around her, it's as if they've just found a bunch of, like, I don't know, actors that are just coming up. There is a couple of other big-ish names in this. Tiana Taylor plays the main detective, but even she doesn't come across very well here. Yeah, there's just a lot of... I think the script is a bit hammy. I think a lot of the lines are very cheesy. And because it's taken itself so seriously, a lot of it is just very cliche and very soppy. And I think shoves these themes down your throat too much, sort of in a similar way to Mountainhead, where it just like smacks you over the head with these themes and just has absolutely zero subtlety about it. That being said, it's a captivating story. You know, this mother character, you care for her pretty quick. It establishes her relationship with her daughter. It establishes the money problems she's having. She's almost getting evicted from a flat. She's working a dead-end job in a supermarket. And just things spiral out of control and just, come to blows in this sort of standoff in the bank. But there's a point in this film where there is a huge twist that hits you like a fucking brick. It is also completely unnecessary as well. To the point where I was like, what? It's a moment where you're supposed to be like, oh my god. But I was just like, what?
They put aliens in this?
She gets abducted by aliens. They meet Elio, and it's a whole mess. But it's it's completely not needed, and I think added to the melodrama. It's essentially one of those twists. I mean, I don't know whether I should give it away or not. I guess since I'm not recommending it, it's fine to give it away.
You can spoil movies that we don't like.
Yeah. Basically, it turns out her daughter has been dead the whole time. You see her daughter throughout the film in this day. It's all set on one day.
And this wasn't a comedy?
This is what I'm saying. It was a completely unnecessary... They should have gone way funnier with it. No, it was an unnecessary twist because I think it was enough to have her just struggling. Basically, she's struggling to pay for her daughter's school lunches is one of the main big things here. She needs $40 from a paycheck to pay for her daughter's school lunch. And that's kind of her only goal at that point. And all this stuff around her is just trying to make that happen. That's enough, I think. That is enough of an emotional hook. We do not need a fucking twist where her daughter has been dead the whole time. She died of a seizure like the night before. And this woman has been in denial all day and like seeing things and seeing her daughter isn't there. It like goes back through the scenes in the film and recontextualizes them without the daughter there, and people being like, "Who are you? Like, we didn't call you. Who are you talking about?" Like, you know, she goes to her daughter's school. They're like, "What are you doing here?" It just like, it's one of those where you're supposed to be like, "Oh my god, how did I not see it?" But it doesn't sprinkle any clues as to why that, as to that being the case. I think it completely undermines the darkness and the emotional core of this film and just makes it like a cheap shock value thing towards the end and just completely ups the melodrama for no reason. And I think, it just kind of spoiled the whole thing for me. And I wasn't even really liking it to that point anyway. So yeah, a tad too melodramatic, but I think could have been good if done differently. That sounds stupid.
You know what? It could be this.
If this was a completely different film.
If this was another film, it could be good. Like if I was watching like Shrek or something, I'd probably enjoy it.
If she was like a green ogre, I had like a doggy friend. Now that I'm saying some of these criticisms out loud, I realise how stupid I sound. I liked the core of what this film was, and I liked what it was saying in terms of working class people, you know, people in these dead end jobs. They're just people that are trying to make ends meet. We can all relate to that. And that sometimes, you know, you can just fucking snap. And kind of what happens if someone snaps. And, you know, the last straw. So I liked what it was saying. I don't think it said it well.
It's like...
That's what it comes down to.
To simplify it, I guess it's the premise and the genre not meshing.
Right, yeah, I think so. I think, it was so hammy and soap opera-y that I think it undermined the real message and the real issues it was trying to portray. So yeah, should have been a comedy. I just think the concept of someone accidentally holding up a bank is
that
funny.
No, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's like a funny bit.
So that's my thoughts on Straw, available on Netflix. Fuck you, Ted
Lasso.
I think the CEO of Netflix is called Ted, and fuck you, Jeff, for good measure.
Yeah, fuck off, Jeff. Next up, Predator, Killer of Killers, which makes you the good guy. I think it's like Dexter.
Killer of Killers.
Killer of Killers.
Is this in the Jesus King of Kings universe, or?
I mean, it's also animated. This is a recommend from me. We're back.
We're back.
We're so back. We're back with a bag.
We were cooked. We're back.
Yeah, this is a movie I just kind of shadow dropped on Disney Plus.
I thought you said you shadow dropped it there. This is the movie I shadow dropped.
I wanted people to see this because I worked real hard on it. Though this kind of like just appeared one day. I did not see anything about it leading up to it, and then I think I saw maybe like a couple of YouTube videos or something pop up reviewing and talking about this movie, and I was like, oh, that sounds like cool. It's like an animated movie about like set in the Predator universe. Like that sounds exactly like something I'd enjoy. And then I watched it, I was like, I did enjoy that. Yeah, very similar in its visual style to Arcane, the League of Legends series, which I also really enjoyed. I think a lot of the animation team that worked on that came over and worked on this movie, which is why it's like visually quite similar. This is a like sci-fi action anthology style movie. In the fact that it tells the stories of 3 separate people across different time periods, each one coming into contact with I think it's pronounced Jauta, which is the race, the alien race that the Predators are.
Don't look at me.
I
think it's pronounced Predator.
It's like Jauta. Or Yauta, I can't remember.
I think it's pronounced Xenomorph.
Yeah, so the first story is of a Viking warrior who is trying to like take her son out to toughen him up and become like a true Viking so that he can take her place one day. And then the second story is of a samurai in feudal Japan, which is both sort of a revenge narrative. And then the third one is of a guy who is enlisted to be a pilot in World War II. So it takes a little bit of difference with the action, and kind of the first one was so just rough and tumble because that's kind of like how the Vikings were known to fight. They were very like aggressive and unrefined, And then the second one, we get the samurai, and it's much more like about skill and speed and using everything to your advantage. And then the third one, it's like it's an airborne battle where he's fighting one of them in an aircraft, and he kind of has to use his resourcefulness, his outside the box thinking to win the situation. But all three of these different people, different time periods, end up killing the predator that showed up, and it all culminates in them being captured, kept in sort of suspended animation through a lot of time, until they're all brought until the Predator's homeworld and said, here's a big battle arena, now you three fight it out to see who really is the killer of killers. And then they kind of have to put their differences aside to survive and escape the situation that they're put in. Beautifully animated, this movie. Just incredible to look at. Action sequences are all well done. Plenty of violence in keeping with the Predator universe. And then it just becomes a very cool story of, you know, putting your differences aside. There's a lot of language barriers. They all come from different timelines, different periods, different cultures. But it's this story of, okay, the only way we can really survive this is to work together and use our respective skills in tandem to get out of this impossible situation. Yeah, just a fun movie. Just a fun movie. And I think not a lot of films kind of take advantage of that whole anthology kind of setup. Recently, I can't think of many like big movies that do like proper anthology kind of narratives, but it's effective when it's done well. It's done well here. It's all building up to this culmination, and then we get a little sting right at the end that ties it into the other Disney Plus movie. I think it was called Prey, but they do a little tie-in at the end there. So maybe it means that we're going to have more. At least it's not like an IP that they're just sitting on and letting collect dust, you know. I'm guessing that was like a Fox acquisition, because I know Alien's part of the whole Fox umbrella, so that's probably something that's come from them. But it's cool that they're not just kind of, they've got it and they're not doing anything with it. They're letting different people kind of work on their own interpretations of it. So if we get more Predator stuff going forward, and especially if it's as good as this, all for it. Always for more Predator content. I don't mean Predator in that sense. Don't mean it like that. Not like that.
Don't be weird about it.
Next up, K-pop demon hunters.
Now, are they hunting K-pop demons, or are the demon hunters K-pop?
The demon hunters are K-pop. It's actually sort of both, in a way. Right off the bat, definitely a recommend from me. Again, another very strong animated movie that just kind of appeared on streaming. It just kind of appeared on Netflix at some point. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I saw a lot of people posting like fan art and like obsessing over this. There seems like, I don't know if Tumblr is still like a thing.
I think only just.
But it seems like that kind of crowd.
If you put K-pop in your movie title,
yeah, it's like their newest obsession.
Sorted.
This is the latest from Sony Pictures Animation, who slept on quite a lot. They've done some real good stuff. One thing where I think they are the absolute best in the game at the moment is their like character movement and facial expressions. I don't think anyone is doing it as good as them right now, because I talked a little bit how Pixar's trying to move in that direction, making it more cartoonish so they can do more cartoonish movements and expression. But Sony is the one that's doing it well right now. The way their characters move and like the crazy over the top facial expressions they're doing, it feels so much more like classic animation now, where they're actually taking advantage of the medium. It's like, we can do like this stuff now that you can't do with live action. You can make stuff look so much more bigger and more exaggerated, and that's, I think, what we need more of. We need more of that. Very, very silly premise with this. 3 K-pop idols who form a group called Huntrix, who are also moonlighting as these like ancient protectors, where they have to kind of keep the balance between the real world and the kind of like where all the demons are, and make sure that, you know, everything remains in balance and is protected. Which sounds on paper just like a very kind of just absurd, like weird kind of direction they're going on, but it's very cool that they're kind of mishmashing the two things together. Of, they have like the very magic and mysticism, spiritual kind of side of like ancient Korean folklore, legend and history, and then they're mashing it with like new age Korean culture with all like the K-pop stuff and the obsessive fandoms. They do go into like just how kind of devoted and dedicated a lot of the fans are.
That's an understatement.
The grueling like work schedules they have to do, that they never get like any time off. The way they have to present themselves, in that they can never kind of be seen as like flawed or imperfect. They constantly have to be presented in front of people as, you know, being always happy and like contented all the time. The main premise and conflict kind of comes into it where one of the demons who becomes sort of our main de facto antagonist forms his own K-pop group of like 5 demons who are posing as like a Korean boy band. And so we now get the conflict between the two groups, and they're going, hey, look at like the popularity of this group and how like their fans are so dedicated and devoted to them. What if we did that and stole all their fans, and now we easily have access for you to like feed on their souls or whatever? Like, brilliant, inspired choice. It's never gonna work. Oh, it is working. Oh my god. Yeah, it's just story wise, it's quite simple. Of like, it's a battle of good versus evil. It's about the togetherness of these 3 girls. Of how they all kind of interact with each other as friends, and like where they came from, and how the group actually kind of brought them from not so good backgrounds into now like they're all very important to each other. Whereas like this whole group that they're up against is very like the opposite. Like, they come across as more natural, like, which does not exist in the K-pop world as far as I'm concerned. They're much more like naturally together as friends, whereas the evil group is like more manufactured for a specific purpose, which, like, don't get me wrong, it works, but I guess that's kind of why neither of us has really been into K-pop, is because it does very much seem like that. It's all very manufactured. It's too clean, it's too polished, it's too perfect.
We like our musicians flawed.
Yeah, we like a bit of soul, a bit of character to our music. Like, don't come up. I know saying stuff like that, like the K-pop crowd will get very angry. Very angry.
You've absolutely
Let me just remind everyone, I'm saying I like this movie. I like this movie. And to its credit, the soundtrack to this absolutely slaps. Like, I've been listening to like a lot of the songs from this. Yeah, just very bright, very vibrant. Visually great, moves great, animated great. Again, doing that thing I like, the whole Spider-Verse technique of, I still don't know how they're doing it, of like the whole frame skipping thing, but just fun time watching this movie. And, you know, great to have a movie that kind of celebrates that culture and like gives more work to sort of more marginalized groups. There's some recognizable names here, like Ken Jeong has a small role, Daniel Day Kim is in there, and I forget his real name, but Prosy D as well.
Oh yeah,
who does like a lot of voice acting work now.
Yeah.
Very cool celebration of that culture. Very good movie. Highly recommend. It's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix already, check it out.
Fuck you, Ted.
Fuck you, Jeff. Especially fuck you, Mark.
Fuck you, Mark, for good measure. And last up, Mobland. Or, as I like to call it, Mobland.
My favourite theme park.
This is absolutely a recommend from me. Sort of right up my street lately. I've been on this kind of thing of these gangland drug cartel sort of crime dramas in the last sort of year and a half or so.
And you still won't watch Ozark.
And I still won't watch Ozark. Fuck you, Jason Bateman. Yeah, and this is another one in the long line of these things. This sort of taste for this stuff was sort of kickstarted when I got into Top Boy. And funnily enough, this is written by Ronan Bennett, who wrote Top Boy, and the new Day of the Jackal series that Eddie Redmayne was in that I reviewed whenever that came out.
17 years ago.
So long ago now. But yeah, this is the latest Ronan Bennett project, and Guy Ritchie is involved here. He directs the first couple of episodes, I believe, and then leaves it to the rest of it, to do the rest of it. But it's very Guy Ritchie coded in terms of the sort of Cockney crime world. You know, that's his.
No. Everyone remembers Guy Ritchie for directing the live action Aladdin.
Right, excuse me. Yeah, it's very Guy Ritchie coded in terms of this genies.
The big
Will
blue
Smith's
genie,
there for some
Will
reason.
Smith.
So yeah, it really scratches that itch for me. I've been chasing the high of Top Boy since I watched it. This is the closest I've come so far. I'll keep you guys updated on that journey. Yeah, loved it. Tom Hardy in the lead role here. I believe this was originally gonna be a Ray Donovan prequel or spin-off. I've never watched Ray Donovan.
Is that the Liev
Schreiber? Yes. Yeah. In terms of, it's about a fixer for a mafia family. Tom Hardy plays this role as the guy that just solves the problems, makes problems go away, and works for them. It does all the classic, it's got all the cliches there. There's the warring crime families, there's the patriarchs, there's the lower down ones scrabbling for power. There's sort of some very gory, violent scenes here. There's twists and turns. There's everything you could want from this genre of show. Tom Hardy plays this really sort of menacing character very well. I think that's something he does, is the quiet type until it kicks off,
until
and then
the
he can be really
comes out, yeah.
until Venom takes over, and then and then he can become this quite almost calmly violent guy. The scenes where he's just beating the shit out of people, and he's very almost nonchalant about it, and he just has this great presence on camera. I think Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren play the patriarch and matriarch of this main family, and almost offer a bit of comic relief at times, which is interesting, I think, with some pretty hammy Irish accents going on here. But they, they're bickering, and they're kind of both vying for power with each other even. There's some fun storylines going on there. Paddy Constantine in this is absolutely brilliant. There's certain scenes where there's certain trauma brought up, and I think his sort of arc of the series is really interesting as well. The grandson of the family is an annoying prick, but deliberately so. The actor played him very well. Yeah, it all just comes together. All these subplots interweave seamlessly. To begin with, it's a bit sort of, there's a lot of characters to kind of grapple with. It's a big family. It takes us a couple of episodes to get into like who's what and who's related to who and who's in what position. But by the time you're a few episodes in, and once you've got to know who everyone is, everything really manages to land, and you do manage to care about each character. I don't think there was really any time in this where I wasn't interested. Sometimes you watch a show and there's a certain arc you're not as interested in, or there's certain characters where when it's their scenes, you're a bit like, yeah, just fucking get on with it. There wasn't a moment like that in this for me. I think every character had their own interesting arc here, and yeah, there isn't a moment wasted. It hit the mark for me. I liked Mobland a lot. Yeah, not much else to say. Just solid gang thriller. If you like your Guy Ritchie, if you like your crime dramas, this is a solid one. And if you like your Tom Hardy, this has plenty of Tom Hardy in it as well.
You take your shirt off.
I think there is probably a shirt I've seen. I don't remember. He's wearing a big black coat for most of it.
Him.
Also, Toby Jones shows up in the last 2 or 3 episodes of this and completely steals the show, by the way. Award for like the most unexpected entrance into a TV show goes to Toby Jones. He shows up in episode 8 and is like one of the most interesting characters in the whole thing immediately. It's crazy.
Why weren't you here from the start?
I was like,
where have you been?
He's like this, he's this cop turned gang informant, or he's a bit of a dirty cop guy. Just great, and it's like, fuck, what? Toby? Toby, are you what? Can I just check? Is that Toby Jones?
That Toby Jones just showed up in my crime drama. What's he doing? No, what's he
is
doing?
That Toby Jones just suddenly having one of the most interesting stories in the last 2-3 episodes? Not sure how I feel about that. Thank you for watching HAZMAT, reviewing everything they saw in June 2025.
And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more stuff like this in the future, you can support the channel by leaving a like or a comment. You can hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted to all our more recent uploads. And as always, all of our socials will be listed down in the description.
And join us next time where I go swimming in a shark cage with Tom Hardy.
Oh, and I'm going to just put a few 1s and 0s into the computer and cause the complete collapse of society.
Yes. It's about time.
Fuck you, Mark.
Fuck you, Jeff.
Fuck you, Ted, whoever you are.
And fuck you, Elon.
Especially you, Elon. You know what you did.